Dependent independence. So-called independence. Have you ever wondered why they're purposely dumbing us down and dumbing us down and dumbing us down and making us more and more and more dependent on the system? It's for no good reason. Ask yourself this. I love using the police as an example because they're an easy target. Can you depend on the police? If you are being home invaded, can you depend on the police to just show up when you can't even get the phone out of your pocket? Because you're either tied to a chair or having the shit bashed out of you? No, you can't. So why do you have faith in them? Why do you have faith in a system that you can't depend on? All everyone is a bunch of victims. That's all everyone is. Everyone is a victim to the system. How can you depend on the government that you can't have faith in? Because they lie all the time. They rob all your hard-earned money from you in taxes, one way or another. Anywhere up to 85-90% of the money you make goes into taxes. Goods and services tax, sales tax, stamp duty tax, rates, land tax, income tax, fines. What do fines do? Creates criminals. Fines don't teach anybody a lesson, they create criminals. You get a man who's poor and you take what money he does have from him, now he's got to go steal to feed himself and his family. If you take a drug dealer's drugs, okay, it's probably a fair thing, but you take their money as well, now he's beholden to his supplier to have to sell sell drugs for the supplier to pay off his debt. It's ridiculous. Why don't you go after the suppliers? You don't go after the suppliers. I know, I've lived in that world. I still talk to a lot of people who are living in that world. Some of them don't even want to live in that world anymore, but they have no bloody choice. You've taken that choice from them. They can't walk away because they're beholden to somebody who will probably walk in and cut their hands off. Why don't you go after the supplier? Is it a bit too close to home? That's half of the reason. The other half of the reason is as long as they keep the revolving door going around, they keep getting funding from the government. Each station is dependent on how many people that they can charge over and over. It doesn't matter if it's the same name over and over and over, because it's a Devonport man, it's a Burnie man, it's a Launceston man, it's a Burnie woman. Imagine if they kept saying the same name over and over and over. Then people would be saying, how come they keep busting this same person over and over and over, but they're not going to prison? They're actually putting that person in a hole. For ages, I've been blaming the magistrates. Not that the magistrates are perfect by any means, but by geez, I'll tell you, the entire constabulary is as bent as it gets. They don't even realise it. They're too brainwashed. They're too indoctrinated into that system to realise that all they're doing is harm. They're doing no good. They're doing no good at all for the communities that they're supposed to serve. I watched one the other day, getting up and down the road and round the block and all over Shorewell here, no lights going or anything, doing at least 100 kilometres an hour, chasing down the car that they had to let go because they hadn't actually done anything wrong. Must have just looked like somebody they were looking for, I guess. They pulled them up in Wright Street and then had to let them go again. It's all fun and games till a kid gets run over, isn't it? Where's the common sense in it? It's not real common, is it? Does anybody actually think, listen to that little voice down in there that says, right now, if I do this, am I doing any good? If I'm doing any good, does the harm outweigh the good? Perhaps I should just bloody leave it alone. because this is going to have a flow-on effect to their children, to their family, to the whole household. This person may lose their job over what? Maybe a little bit of pot, maybe a little bit of ice, a tiny little bit of ice. How about getting the bloody supplier? You take away the supply and the demand will disappear because people will get past their addictions. And then they'll start asking for things back that we used to be able to be allowed to do as kids. Why do we need a licence to fish? Why? When you've got companies like Tassal completely destroying our fishery industry and super trawlers running around just scraping all the fish out of the ocean. We are fishing our oceans at a far faster rate than what they can breed. It's insane. It's not sustainable, to use your little catchphrase words. The sustainability of the fishing industry is not sustainable, is it? But to stop us fighting against that, you create all this other garbage for us. Oh, we've got to have licence to do this and licence to do that. Oh, if you haven't got a fishing licence, we'll take all your fishing gear and your four-wheel drive and whatever else. For what? Catching half a dozen fish? Don't take it up with the real people, the government, the corporations that aren't paying taxes on these things. But we got to pay through the nose for everything. Do you realise it's the little people that create value in the communities, not the corporations? The corporations do nothing but rob from them. Woolworths does nothing but rob from us. You know who Woolworths are? They were started by a family called the Waltons. Remember the Waltons, the TV show? The show that was made to make the Waltons look like good people? Big W, Walmart, Woolworths, all the big green W's around the world were started by a family called the Waltons. Started off as a small supermarket. Just a small grocery store. And it grew and grew, and they started and made friends with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. Now it's a worldwide fucking conglomeration. A monster. Making a fortune for their shareholders. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of shareholders now. Those people aren't even alive anymore. The Waltons, the original people that started that company, they sold it out. Now it's a shareholder corporation. That's all it is. Look at the garbage food they're selling at ridiculous prices. If you go to a fruit and vegetable market locally, you'll get four to five times more potatoes for the same price. Better quality, even if they're a bit old and a bit soft, it's actually better quality. Because you know where they were grown, locally, in local soil. Look, you've got to stop making yourself victims by having faith in a system that you can't depend on. They don't want us having vegetable gardens and running chickens. They don't want us being able to hunt our own food. They don't want us to be able to field dress, skin and gut a wallaby or a deer or a rabbit for protein. They're poisoning the crap out of the animals out in the forest. They're still using 1080. I thought that was banned years ago, but they still use 1080. They still use all the horrible diseases in the forestry plantation areas. Sustainable timbers. Say that word again. Sustainable timbers, Tasmania. They're still poisoning the crap out of everything. And they wonder where the Tasmanian devil's getting its facial tumours from. Gee, I wonder. Probably from the cadavers and the carcasses that they're eating, because they're a scavenger and they're supposed to clean up the forest. But no, they're being poisoned into extinction by the very food that they're eating, just like we are. Critical thinking, guys. Use it.